I'm Stephen Foskett, organizer of Tech Field Day and publisher of Gestalt IT. We're here at KubeCon 2022 in Detroit, and we're meeting with some of the companies in the enterprise-connected cloud-native space. I'm here with Ashher Syed of HashiCorp.
Hi, Stephen. I'm product marketing leader at HashiCorp and excited to be here at KubeCon.
So KubeCon is an interesting conference because it is really ground zero for the cloud native world. Now, I think a lot of people might look at it and say, how can you have a conference on just Kubernetes? But just Kubernetes is quite a lot. But this is not just Kubernetes. This goes way beyond that. I'm part of the analyst and media track here, and I spent a lot of time yesterday talking about Kubernetes in the enterprise and Kubernetes in production generally. And one of the topics that's really top of mind in the analyst community especially is security. As more and more applications are going to a cloud-native infrastructure, cloud-native architecture, it has become really imperative that we figure out ways of securing these applications. And I know that HashiCorp generally and Consul is really deeply involved in that. So tell us a little bit more about maybe what Consul is and how it's used in the zero trust world.
So great question. So Consul is connecting it's a connection layer for HashiCorp. So we have a Vault as a main identity broker in the middle. And based on that, all the identities, Consul connects and secures the applications on the cloud itself or the network itself rather than cloud. And Kubernetes environment is no different than any other environment. But what happens here is that Consul has Vault integrations built in so that all the secrets that are generated, they're auto-rotated, and they're stored, instead of Kubernetes secrets, they're stored in Vault. And from there, we take that identity and push it on the network itself for authentication, authorization, and encryption of all the traffic between the applications.
Yeah, and that's really important because, of course, we've seen so many times where there will be data leaks because, well, either secrets are embedded in the code or because people just don't have good secrets management techniques generally. And it's sometimes very difficult for them to actually change identities and secrets and so on of production applications if they don't have a good approach to that. And I know that that's one of the things that, one of the reasons that people are so excited about Vault and Consul, because it means that you can have central management of identity and authorization even with cloud native applications that tend to be very dispersed.
Great.
So what do you see customers doing with this? Do you see them taking this technology and having it be a central part of the application, or do you see it more as an add-on that companies are bringing in points where they need it?
So it's all starts with identity, right? Application identity. So we're not in that world anymore where we could rely on IP addresses. They're all ephemeral. So now, given that what we know containers are spun up and spun down, what we are doing is, with identity basically, it's making sure that all the applications, what they say, who they are. So authentication is super important in that. And this is how we see zero trust security, in the sense that, yes, you could have different applications going up and down, but as long as they are all identity driven, we can authenticate, authorize, and encrypt the traffic between those applications based on the identity. So if you look at it, it's applications, networks, and users in the end. So machine to machine and human to machine. So HashiCorp stack, what we do is, especially in Consul, is machine to machine identity that's always authenticated, authorized, and encrypted in traffic.
And that's especially important in this new Kubernetes world, because very often nodes are added and removed, and you may not even know which nodes belong to which application or which nodes are even yours. I was talking to another Kubernetes administrator yesterday who was kind of complaining about not being able to identify the nodes in EKS that are part of his Kubernetes cluster, and trying to figure out how to tag them and how to identify them. If you don't even know which ones are yours from a billing perspective, it's got to be impossible to think that you could figure it out from a security perspective and manually configure it.
Yeah, so you have to know what's happening inside your cluster as well, and outside the cluster as well, if you're connecting multi-cluster, especially in a scaled environment. What we enable as Consul Service Mesh you get visibility around both inside and outside of cluster based on all of these same protocols that we use.
Yeah. And increasingly, I think people are looking at more advanced interconnects between machines, between nodes, even between regions with applications. Is that an area that HashiCorp Console Vault is addressing as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. So HashiCorp is just not purely for Kubernetes itself. Yes, we are Kubernetes within, we have Kubernetes workflows within Kubernetes and outside of Kubernetes as well. We are connecting to VMs or any ECS or EKS or any GKE, any flavor of Kubernetes. And what we are trying to do is enable on an enterprise scale that all this connectivity happens, all the workflows are secure, and cube to non-cube, any other environment. So that's what console is enabling.
We're hearing a lot in the enterprise space as well about well, what had been called hybrid cloud, essentially using the data center as another cloud and building a cloud on top of clouds and that sort of thing. How do you see this going long term?
So we see a multi-cloud world where workloads will reside in places where companies feel comfortable doing it, right? So for example, some workloads could be in GCP, some could be in AWS, some could be on-prem, right? Uh, but the idea is how do you all stitch it together? So, and if you can provide a consistent workflow between all of that, and more importantly, a secure workflow. So that's where we come in and help out with console and Vault with identity.
Yeah. How about other security products? I know that there are certainly a lot of products out there that are talking about security, everything from storage systems that have immutable snapshots to data protection to network security and firewalls and all the entire world. How do you play into this whole ecosystem? Do you support them? Do you compete with them?
So we definitely do not compete as such, but what we do is we enable automation in terms of firewalls and all that. We have a console Terraform sync, for example, which enables that instead of you doing manually all of that day two operations, we automate those operations for you.
And what about other Terraform and day two platform providers? I mean, how do you work with them?
So HashiCorp is known to work with pretty much all the providers, but our main job here is to enable the multi-cloud adoption and be where you are as a customer. So help you with. So we have a lot of integrations with Terraform and Console and Vault all.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, and so let's turn back to KubeCon here. You are presenting. You're part of the show. Well, I guess, do you have presentations? What are you involved in, you personally or your group? And what are you excited about here at KubeCon?
Yeah, so we're excited about the whole HashiCorp Zero Trust stack with Vault, Console, and Boundary, which we just released at HashiCorp a couple of weeks ago. So what I was talking about earlier, that networks, users, and applications connectivity, we all bring it together, and not just for Kube environment, but for outside as well. So we are providing Kube native workflows to make operators' life much easier in terms of operating Kube native workflows specifically. And then more importantly, what we are trying to do here is that that zero trust from our lens is all identity driven. It starts from identity, and which Vault brokers that identity, and application identity brings all the guardrails for zero trust security in terms of authentication, authorization, and encryption of all the traffic, and also any secrets that you have to be time bound, and you should be able to audit and log everything after the fact, that you can bring some data out of it and see if there are any bad actors out there.
Great. Well, so what are you looking forward to in the future? Where does Kubernetes go next in the enterprise?
So scalability is an important thing. Kubernetes in production is what we are interested in, and we are putting all our investment in that area in terms of scaling Kubernetes operations. And also we are part of communities here at Kubernetes. We are heavily invested in Kubernetes communities like a Gamma initiative, which is an API gateway initiative. So we're part of that as well. So we're up with all the new trends that are happening here and sort of driving with the community here.
Great. Well, thanks for that update. And I know that HashiConf was a lot of fun. A lot of my friends went to HashiConf this year, and we're doing a lot of tweeting and blogging and so on. And I know that so far, KubeCon has been really amazing. There's a huge turnout, a lot of people in the industry here, and it's been a lot of fun to be here and to meet with folks like you. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, please check out the Gestalt IT website at gestaltit.com. You can also find us on YouTube at Gestalt IT Video, and you'll see more reports coming in from KubeCon all through the week and through the month. So again, I'm Stephen Foskett. We are glad to be here at KubeCon 2022 in Detroit.